Hi Jennifer, we are live streaming and can you make me co-host?
Oh,
Hey there, how are you?
good. Hi, Miss Carol Sue. We missed you last time.
Oh, I know, I wasn't feeling well. Hello, Mr. Bo. I love you, Mr. Bo.
Hey, hi, Bo. Say hello. And good morning to all of you. Let's see, Rosemary and
Good
Judy,
morning. Good morning.
Irene, and we'll probably have a few people streaming in here. Pat. Lots. I'm sure Marlene is probably on the way in too.
He's been so good.
He's a pretty good boy until, you know, there's an evil squirrel outside or something, and then you're done. It's all over. Yeah. Yeah. Did you hear me say that word?
He's protecting you from that evil squirrel.
They're vicious, aren't they? Yep, there comes Miss Marlene in. Hi, Marlene.
Oh, hi. Hi, I like your hat.
I'm dressed for the occasion today. If
Oh,
you are
let me show you my shirt. Hold
if
on.
you are in the US.
Look,
Oh, I love that.
isn't that great? Cupcakes and it has sparkle. And then there's a
cute.
flag right here.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're all in the spirit today. Yeah. Well, I have to have my get set up garb, but it is blue. So, you
It's
know,
blue.
yeah. So I just added the hat. I'm hoping it's not like too shiny with this light on here. So I'm not blinding anybody with
That's
the bling
cute.
on there.
That's cute.
Yeah. Let's see. Where did Carol Sue go? She's still on there? Yeah, she's there. I just can't see her. Can't see her. Well, I'm so glad to see a few smiles today on your holiday off if you're in the US. Do I have anybody from overseas? Not as of now.
I'm in New York.
You're in New York. That's like overseas to me. I'm in Louisiana, so
Oh, long distance.
it's a long distance. Yeah, it's probably a little cooler where you are. And we have
Oh,
John.
it's about 50. It's cold.
50? Did you
It's
say
about that today. Yeah, it's
Oh,
cold
yeah,
here.
up there? Yeah, I'm not used to the cold.
It's not picnic weather.
No, it's not really. So we have John from Get Set Up Support on here. I assume probably wrong to do that, but have all of you had a meeting on Get Set Up before? Everybody's been in at least
I
one.
have not.
Who has not?
Rosemary, I have not had one
This
before.
is your first class?
Yes, it is.
Wow. Well, welcome. And from New York. Welcome, welcome. So I'm
Yes.
Jennifer. I'm the Get Set Up. I'm the lucky Get Set Up guide for this class. And so I get to be your first guide, and hopefully you'll come back for more. This is really my therapeutic class because I'm a nurse. And I do teach some other classes, but most of those are evidence-based, classes, and have more to do with nursing, of course, and education and things like that. So this is what I do for therapy. And so I love to share it. And I love it when people come back and bring me what, and show me what they've made or what they've been inspired to make, which is always really nice to see. So we do have,
Oh, you just froze on me.
Just froze.
I believe Jennifer is facing some internet connection issue, so she will be right back in case she leaves.
Am I back?
You're back.
Yes.
Ooh, I don't know what happened. I could see you all and mine, it didn't look like I had a connection problem, which was strange. Okay. So everybody else is having no problem except for me. So John is here to help us with Zoom problems. And if you have any problems, you can put something in the chat if you need to. This class, usually we say mute so everybody can hear, and that's always great, but this is pretty interactive, so our rules are not quite the same. So I just encourage you to ask questions, participate. Sometimes when I'm doing things, I don't necessarily see the chat button. John's going to be here helping me if you have any questions and you just don't want to, speak up. Love to see your faces. If you have a camera, be sure and turn it on. I don't criticize for bad hair days. I have a hat on, and there's a reason for that. And most every day, there's a reason for that in my world. So, okay, so first of all, for those of you who were here during my last class, when was that? It's actually probably been about a week and a half ago, I think. And we were working on, I think, the switch plates. Is that correct? Marlene says yes. Marlene was here. And I like to go back and say, kind of show you how things went or where they are. So directly behind me, and I'm going to show you some pictures so you can see these switch plates on the wall that you see are kind of bold. Actually, you know what? I can actually get closer to those because I have a detachable camera. Maybe you can see a little bit. Those switch plates, there's actually another one over there. We painted those. And I will go back and show you some, let me get my camera back on here. I'll go back and show you some pictures. I try to take pictures so you can see things up close because I know the Zoom thing is limited. So let me go in here and see if I can share my screen and pull these up before I go into anything else. Let's see here. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes, but they're tiny pictures.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing and then I'm gonna I'll do it again and it'll come up bigger. Hard enough to see. Okay, let me go back in here and share my screen. Okay, how about now?
Yes.
You can see that. Very good.
Yes.
Okay, so these are just kind of up close. And Carol Sue, you missed that. So
Did you use acrylic paint?
Yeah, actually I had old paints. And I know these look like wild colors, but they actually, and you'll see in this other picture there, it matches my rug in this room that I'm in, and the couch is red. So it's kind of wild colors anyway. But I used some paints and just dropped some paints on this. They're just plastic switch plates. They're not ceramic. They're just the plain cheap plastic switch plates. And I dropped some drops randomly kind of on there and took some plastic wrap and put it on there and just kind of smushed it down, gives it some texture. So when it dries, it's not flat. And also it kind of just gives it that swirled effect, or I mean, depending on how you do it, it can kind of give it a tie-dyed effect too. But so that's kind of what it turns out like. And I think they're really cool that way. Let me see if I can go to the next picture. I may have to move my little pictures of y'all over to get to my next picture. Here we go. Okay, that's kind of the same. There's two different plates, so they look a little bit different. But this was so easy, and everybody's got switch plates at their house, whether it be for your electrical outlets, or your lights, or sometimes you have them for other things, connectors. And it kind of just spruces up your room a little bit. And you can kind of see that the colors really kind of go with the pictures. That's the plates that are sitting on the rug. So you see what I mean by the colors. They look kind of wild, but it was so easy and everything kind of matches. So it's kind of cool. And if I didn't like it when it was done, how much does it cost me to buy another switch plate? I mean, so you really can't screw it up. So I had really some old paints. Just happened to have some of the right colors. And actually, when I was doing this, I ended up throwing out probably 15 to 20 bottles of paint that were no good because they were probably 20 years old. So it helped me clean out some stuff too. But you can really do that in any room. And the worst case scenario is you don't like how it turns out and you just put the old ones back up with nothing on them. So, everybody's got that. And I kind of ended up pretty pleased with them. So you can kind of see there's all three of them in the background there. But yeah, and so I tried to kind of take some from the side because you can tell they're kind of textured. They're not, because of that plastic wrap, when you pull that up, it pulls some of the paint up and it dries that way. So it's got a texture to it. So yeah, that I just wanted to share that with you. And okay, so let's see. Am I still sharing my screen or no? No. Okay, good. Good.
But I was also taking and thinking that is like a springtime, or when you change your rugs, or Easter time, or whatever holiday. You could change your plates really quick.
You can change your plates so easy. Yes, absolutely. The only thing you need to make sure of is if you do that, make sure that it is completely dry when you put it back up, or else you're going to have paint on the wall, or it's going to stick. And when you go to take it off, it's going to be a problem. Also, I didn't mention that after I painted those, I coated them in Mod Podge, just like a decoupage, I coated them so that they're kind of sealed. And I do that with most everything, and most of y'all know. And I just did it with the regular matte Mod Podge. I did, however, y'all got to see this. Okay, so I had a birthday the week before last. And so there are safe gifts to get me, and I don't really ask for anything. So my husband got me this giant container of Mod Podge, but it's the gloss, which I didn't have any of the gloss. So this is the glossy kind. So I've been using it the last couple of days. This thing is 64 ounces. It's huge. Okay. Do you think I use a lot of Mod Podge? Yeah. So I've been busy using my new Mod Podge, which is great. And before I show you what I just made, some of you also were here when we did the laundry room sign, looking for my soulmate, right? Okay. So, and if you weren't here, I'm going to show you a picture of that as well. And additionally, someone had asked me to make them one a little bit different. Okay, let me go in here and share my screen. Can y'all see that?
Yep.
Okay, so that is in my laundry room. And you see that it has a lot of clothespins on it because there's actually not enough on there for all the widowed socks, the orphaned socks that are still looking for their soulmate. I have way too many at my house, and some of them, it's an eternal, they hang up there forever. So they grow old up there. But so I have a lot of clothespins on mine because it's required in my laundry room. But I had someone request, they wanted me to make them one. but a little bit more lightweight, less clothespins because it's just her and her husband. And so I did that for them. Let's see if I can. I got to get behind. I got to get behind all y'all's sweet little faces to get to my arrow. Well, maybe. Here we go. Okay, so this one, less clothespins. I did not paint the clothespins, and this is not on wood. That first one was on wood, and it was a piece of wood I had. I have a lot of stuff. Miss Rosemary, you haven't been here before, so you don't know, but I have a lot of stuff that I get gifted because people don't know what to do with it, or they're tired of crafting or whatever, and I just acquire this stuff. I don't buy much of it. And if you've heard me before, I hate to shop. I absolutely hate to shop. I'm not a shopper. I've never been a shopper. So I am so keen on what can I do with what I've got at home. And that's kind of what inspired me to share this with the class, especially during the pandemic when nobody was out shopping. Really, nobody was leaving home. So this was actually, I'm trying to think what I even put it on when I initially made it. It was an artist canvas like you get at the Dollar Tree or whatever, but it's not a framed one. It's just a flat one. But she wanted something lighter weight. And then I just decoupaged cardstock paper on it. You could use anything. And the letters I had, and I painted them. She wanted the kind of red, white, blue theme. And I actually decoupaged the clothespins instead of painting them. On mine that I have, I painted them. But that's just some simple paper. Matter of fact, those blue clothespins, that is shelf liner. It was just some leftover shelf liner, and I cut pieces off of that, and it sticks on there, but I decoupaged it on. And the red and white was just some paper that I have. And did a little paper quilling and put a little thing in the top corners, kind of looks like nails, I guess, in that, and hung it up. So there you go. That's how that'll work. I just put a couple of our socks on there for the purpose of the picture. But so that is something more. And here it is up close and personal. Always a cute idea for a laundry room because I'm telling you, I've never met anybody in my lifetime that does not have this problem. And if you tell me that you don't, I'm going to tell you that I don't believe you. Sorry. I'm not trying to call you a liar, but I just don't believe you. So anyway, and also for the back of this one, I put some of those little furniture pad things on there, or like cabinet pads, the little felt. I just stuck those on there, and I super glued a hanger on the back. So very simple. And I have a huge package of these hangers because I make so much stuff. I think they came from like Lowe's or Home Depot, but I mean, obviously you can put nails through them if it's certain things, but oftentimes I just glue it on, super glue it, because a lot of this stuff is so lightweight, it's not gonna fall off. So there you go. You hang those socks on there and you're good to go. So I thought you might like to see that since we did have a class making that other sign. Okay, so back to my giant tub of Mod Podge. My gloss. Okay, so how many of you have gotten either an invitation or an announcement or something to a graduation lately? Whether it be your family member, Miss Rosemary's like, me, yep. Not that you went to anything because you probably weren't even allowed at this point. But I mean, you get this. You get baby announcements, you get wedding announcements, you get graduation. This time of year, you seem to get a lot of those things. And so I have a very dear friend, a couple of friends, Jim and his wife, Janet, who is also a nurse. And they have a daughter who is graduating high school. And so they sent not an invitation to anything, but this beautiful card that was made at Walgreens that they put together with some great senior pictures. And I just thought it's a shame to, what do you do with them? You kind of toss them after a while. I just think it's such a beautiful picture. On the front, there was multiple of them on the back. And I thought, okay, I'm going to use this and gift her back something instead of the traditional, let me just send her a check for $25 and say congratulations. I thought I would do something that would be something that could be kept either by her or her parents or both. So I'm going to share my screen again and take you through the process. I would love to have done this just for the class, but it was entirely too long and there's too many sequences of things drying. But I'm going to show you, I'll first show you the end result. Okay, this is the invitation, and I'll go through the picture step by step that I tried to take. And I hate that there's a glare. I'm trying to, can you see that?
That's pretty.
Thank you. She's a beautiful girl too. She's
Very pretty.
Yeah. So this was just a simple thing they had made at Walgreens. It's kind of shiny because I did use that gloss Mod Podge, see? Also, there's some sparkles in there. Her school colors are red and gold. Her high school colors are red and gold. That's why I chose this particular theme, trying to keep it within her school colors. And you can look and see that this is made simply on a dollar store or wherever you get them, artist canvas, but with the frame, with the wooden frame. But you can get them, probably cheaper than the dollar store some places. And we usually have an overabundance of them. My daughter is a dollar store freak, so she wants to go there regularly. And so every chance I get my husband to take her and she brings back whatever I want. Again, I don't like to shop. So anyway, I'm going to take you through the steps of doing this because I feel like this is so easy. And most of you are going to get some type of invitation or announcement or something in the future if you don't have one now. And what a way to preserve a memory. So of course, Janet and Jim and Sarah Kate, who this is the picture of, they don't know about this yet. Knock on wood, none of them are watching this. So that's going to be a little surprise gift for Sarah Kate, which I think she's not going to get another one of those, I'm betting. So I'm going to, again, let me go in here and pull my pictures up so I can kind of take you through the process. Because while it might look like it's really elaborate, it's not. I don't want y'all to think that it's not something doable. It really is. Okay. Let me make sure. Are y'all seeing anything yet?
Only you.
Only me. Bless your heart. What about now?
Now we have it.
Is it big? Small?
It's big.
Okay, good. All right, perfect. Okay, so that is what I received in the mail. And that's just a picture of what I received in the mail before I did anything to it. So you can see it's not all shiny and glossy. It's, although it was a very nice, nicely printed thing. But you could use regular pictures. I know some people are afraid to do it with like a regular photograph, but you can. That's the canvas that I used that actually came from the dollar store, I believe. And it may say that. And that just kind of shows you the width of it and all. If you get a smaller one, they've got different sizes, so you can use that. So here's what I started doing. I took a sponge brush and some extremely old red paint, Napa red paint, just because that's what I had. I didn't really plan on using that dark of paint, but I think it turned out quite nicely when I was finished. So started painting it, not to fill in every little bit of it and giving it some different shades by adding a little more and a little less in spots, but you can kind of see what it looked like when I was finished with the red. So then if you see that says washable paint at the top, that's actually some really old gold glitter paint. And I wasn't really certain how that was going to turn out on there because it's almost, it's one of those paints that's almost watery. It's a different texture. It's a different thickness. Takes a long time to dry. So I put that all over it. And in the spots that were kind of white, you could really see it more, but it gave the whole thing that gold that I was hoping for. I wasn't sure how that was going to turn out at all. And I thought, well, worst case scenario is I can paint over it with something else. But I really liked how that turned out. So that was when I had coated the entire thing with some gold. And I know it's kind of, probably should have put it on something different besides those magazines, because it's hard to separate from that. But it really kind of turned out as a nice marbled effect. So thinking about what I was going to put on it to decorate it. Now you could use anything. By the way, if you don't have a canvas, you could probably use some foam board or some other things in whatever you have at home to make something like this. It doesn't have to be the canvas. I just find that those are pretty easy, and you can usually, when you're done, you can put them in an easel or you can hang them. So I decided to add some quilling because it's easy. If you've never done any kind of paper quilling, I encourage you to get some tools and try it, because you can do it with magazine strips or anything. I used some cardstock paper that I cut with my paper cutter. And that little tool right there, it looks kind of like a ring sizer, is just basically to make sure that what I have done there, the little paper coils are all the same size. If I'm trying to make something that's coordinated. So I made quite a few of those. And then there's a flower. It was still drying. That's, the beginnings of one of the flowers on there. And if you notice, it's got a little hint of yellow in there because I did put some gold paper in there. So this is kind of what it was shaping up to be. I just set the picture on there and a couple of flowers I'd made. I ended up making a third one. I went back, and this is where that big jug of Mod Podge gloss came in, and I went ahead and coated the entire thing with the Mod Podge gloss and coated it really well. I did the sides. I had painted the sides as well, and I coated them as well because you want to make sure everything is pretty well protected.
Is there a secret not to get bubbles in the Mod Podge on the item that you're painting?
It really doesn't bubble.
It doesn't.
I mean, it's glue, so you don't really have a lot of problems with glue bubbling. I've not on something like this. The worst problem that you may have is that if you don't do it pretty quickly, that stuff dries pretty quick, and you may start getting clumps that you don't want. And I thought that I had some in there, and I even kind of wiped some of them off and repainted, but it dries clear, so you really can't see it. So it's very deceptive. When you look at it when it's wet, it's very deceptive to what it's going to look like when you're finished. So there's my big jug of Mod Podge. Can you tell I'm proud of that? I mean, like, what a great gift. So this is what it looked like when it dried with nothing on it. This is just the Mod Podges on it. So the picture is now adhered. And I think that looks, I mean, you could have left it like that. If you wanted to add nothing to it, that's a pretty cool like frame, isn't it?
Okay.
So I thought, well, I'm going to, add a little bit of quilling to it just to make it unique. And I enjoy doing that. So you see the paper strips, I cut all those with my paper cutter. And I think that picture kind of shows you a better indication of the gold kind of glitter on it. It's kind of faint until you look at an angle. But it's enough that you can tell that that's a very purposeful color. It's a purposeful addition to it. It's not that, oops, I just got it too close to some glitter. It's a part of it. And again, well, you can kind of see the glittery parts there too. So I decided to add some framing around it, and all that is paper, all of it paper. Again, if you've not done any quilling before, it's an old art. I've not done it for long, but it's super easy. And the tools are really inexpensive. The ones that I've gotten, some of them are about $6 for a package of them. You can get some more elaborate stuff. I'm not that well seasoned at it. I do have some stuff that I haven't even used before because I'm still learning and my time is more limited than my brain wishes. I wish I had more time to spend just doing it and learning. So and even after this, these are not glued down. I positioned everything like I wanted it. I started gluing down. If you see at the top, you can see I'd started gluing down at the top. But I even, when I was finished and I looked at the finished product, I actually removed one thing and thought, oh, I've ruined it. You know, my glue's kind of pulled up, but I have to keep in mind when you put that glue down, it dries clear. So I added a little dab of glue and, you know, I tell everybody, and I always mention, I'm like the Bob Ross of crafts because it's happy little accidents. You know, if something, and nothing ever really goes like I intend for it to, or like I envision it. But I mean, I think the result is pretty unique and pretty great. I don't know that anybody looking at that would go, wow, I don't think she did a good job on this, or, you know, I'm the only one that knows the process. So I think that's a great gift. And any of you could do that if you've got some glue. If you only have Elmer's glue, I'm going to give you this little secret. And I'm not discriminating against my precious jug of Mod Podge, but if you have Elmer's glue and water, if you've ever paper mache or anything, you can do something like this with what you have at home. You don't have to have the Mod Podge. You can use Elmer's glue, mix up a little, no, it must have been a squirrel. Mix up a little water with it or whatever, just a little bit. You can coat things with that Elmer's glue. The Mod Podge, I think, it is water-based and it's a sealant. It's made to seal things. So, you know, that's great. And you can get that at Walmart. I think sometimes maybe you can get that at the Dollar Tree, probably not the big jug of it though, no. But you can buy that anywhere. But most people have glue at home and you're going to get something in the mail that might be a nice keepsake. How many of us go back and now say, I wish I would have done that for my own kids when I had their graduation or had whatever? I think it's a great idea. Okay, so let me see. First of all, do y'all have any questions about that process? And what do you think? You got something at home now you can do it with? I see some head nodding. Yeah, I mean, you can't put a price on that. And if you're like me, I appreciate when I get thoughtful things like that, I mean, is she ever going to get another one of these? And is she ever going to forget who made it? Probably not. You know, if she forgot my name when she's 90 years old, she's going to remember that someone thought enough of her to hand make something for her. You know, knock on wood that it's still around. I think there's a lot to be said for something that thoughtful because she's not going to remember in a year. But oh, bye, Carol Sue. She said she had to leave. I think that she's not going to remember who all gave her a $25 check. But, maybe I'll give her a $25 check too, but she's not going to remember that. She's going to remember something that's that thoughtful. So, and I had a great time making it and coming up with it. And I did not have to go and buy anything to make it. I did have stuff here, you know, but I could have decorated it with anything. It didn't have to be quilling. The quilling stuff, yes. I've had people ask how I store all the quilling paper. That's a common question. And it's not really I have, you know, here's some that I used. These things are great. I have 3 giant, humongous, heavy notebooks full of paper. And this is also gifts that I get is my family will get me cardstock paper so I can craft and then I don't have to go buy it. So when I say giant, okay, these are heavy binders. And I have 3 of those full, plus some that's not even in binders of paper. So just a storage tip, because I have lots of extra notebooks and I have from my office, I have those sleeves. So they're great for storing all kinds of stuff. So, okay. So I did one other thing. Let me find it here. How many of y'all really use a phone book now? Anybody use a phone book at all? Because like when they pass them out, you go around to the neighborhoods now and they're all sitting in the yards and people don't even pick them up anymore, it seems like. But when you get your phone book, because you'll still get one, do they have these little magnets and things on them for people advertising? Irene, you don't have any magnets on yours?
No. Yeah.
Oh, what's wrong with your city? Where do you live?
Michigan.
Michigan. What's wrong with those Michigan people? They don't advertise on magnets? I thought everybody did it.
We're too cold.
It's too cold. You don't need a refrigerator there, so there's no magnets necessary. You just put everything outside.
You got it.
Well, I know, especially if you go to, if you happen to be at something, they have giveaways and stuff. We end up with this overabundance of magnets. Sometimes you get them at the end of the year that'll have little calendars on them.
Yeah.
And after the year's over, you're not gonna use them anymore. Look, see, there's one. Yeah. So these are the little advertising magnets. This one I collected these two from my mother who had them stored away. I don't know, they're old. Nothing against anybody advertising or anything, but they get tossed eventually. I've used them in the past, cut them up and used them on the back of things to have some things stick to things, which was fine. But I decided to try something a little bit different. And again, I had to get my big jug of Mod Podge I was trying it out with. So this one, little magnet, it was an advertising magnet. I don't remember what was on it. And I decided I was just going to try something little out. This, I covered it. Came from an old card that I received as a thank you. And I just thought it was really pretty. And since I was just kind of playing, I Mod Podged it on there. And I have a stencil and decided I was going to put an H on there. No particular reason. I will show you though, after I Mod Podged it on there, coated it over, you can see it's kind of shiny. It's because that glossy Mod Podge is on top of it, right? Well, I decided I was going to use that stencil and put the H on there. But I'll tell you, I wasn't really pleased with the result, but I'll tell you why. In that little bitty H, because that's not really very big, I used this. And this is pretty good stuff for some things, but it's dimensional paint. It just didn't look real good on this. Had it been a plain old acrylic paint, that probably would have been much better. I tried to kind of go around it with a marker and outline. I just wasn't crazy about it. However, I learned a little. I will also tell you this, because this is such an easy thing to do and a great way to use those magnets up. When I Mod Podged the one side, it kind of warped. And that happens sometimes when you glue or you Mod Podge or whatever, if you decoupage something on one side, it will also happen with things like this. This also warped. I completely did the back side and put a couple of coats on the back so that it would flatten back out. So that's not uncommon. So if you ever do this, don't be surprised if whatever you've used kind of warps. That's another reason that I really like these with the frames in them, because they don't warp. That makes sense to you. So this has several layers on it because this was a flat canvas. And as soon as I Mod Podged on one side, it wanted to go up this way. So it took a couple of coats. So this kind of did the same thing. I really didn't expect that with a magnet, but it did. And I did not paint the other side. I just kind of flattened this out. However, I'm thinking that if I do it again, I might do both sides because I think it'll still stick through that Mod Podge. The magnet force, it'll still stick, won't it? Any magnet experts? I would assume it would. So that is the one thing I did learn. I also probably wouldn't use that dimensional paint on there, but I mean, it's a cute idea. And it's certainly my best friend, her last name starts with an H, you know, she'd stick it on her fridge. But a great idea. You can also put material on there, put some fabric on there. If you have a fabric scrap, you could use tissue paper, make it kind of dimensional, whatever you want to put on there. I mean, there's so many things if you look around that you could use, and these little things don't just get tossed. And it could be a great little gift. Maybe it could be something you add to a gift that you give somebody, and it's a keepsake instead of a name tag, something special like that. So I just think that there's a lot of ideas you could come up with for that. And again, except for Irene, who doesn't get these on her phone books, they're everywhere. So I think it's a great idea. And also you do get them like she had on. Was that a calendar that you had, Irene?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, I get them from my dentist office every year. And so at the end of the year, you just toss it, but you could reuse that. So it's not like something you have to go out and buy. Any other great ideas from y'all? Does it bring anything to mind that you might have that you could use?
Oh, yeah.
Marlene's got something.
Yep. I'm going to do some with my material because I
Yeah.
want a specific
Yeah.
material.
Do you have a lot of scraps?
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's like, I'd walk into a lot of scraps like that and I'd be in heaven. Yeah. So Marlene, what do you have?
Oh, okay. Well, I love your idea about the magnet because I have lots of fabric scraps, and also I've taken a clothespin and I've decoupaged on the clothespin and put a magnet on that. So I've done that.
Those
Or
are
you
pretty.
Yeah. And okay, so I just want to share my craft for Memorial Day that I made. Okay, here we go.
Cute. What's that? What kind of jar is that?
Okay, it's just from soup. It's a tin can from
Oh, it's
soup.
a can.
Yeah, tin
I
can
see.
from soup. And this flag was from a greeting card.
Oh,
Because I
wow.
got the idea from your inspiration from the cards. And then I used ribbon.
That's really pretty.
Decorate around. And then, oh, thank you. And then I have stars on it. You could see. Yeah. And then a bow and the flowers.
And you probably
oh,
have
and-
most of that at home.
Right. And then I had this pin, if you can see if you could see that pin clearly. Right. So that's actually a pin that you put onto a shirt, it buttons where the buttonholes are. And it's sitting in my drawer. You find things that are just sitting there, and then my mind starts working to be creative with the things I have just sitting around. So, and you're very helpful, and I'm inspired by your designs.
Good. I love it.
Yeah.
That's really great. And
Thank you.
let me not neglect to say, if any of you all are veterans, or your loved ones are, or you lost a loved one, I have the utmost respect and appreciation for our veterans and the people who sacrificed everything. My husband is a veteran as well. And I can't say thank you enough because everybody involved, when there's a veteran, everybody involved makes sacrifices. And you can't know how much it means to people like me who really do appreciate that. So thank you. And I can't ever forget what Memorial Day is about. It's so meaningful. It's not just a cookout. It's so much more. Now I'm going to pull out a couple of things because Miss Irene has got my mind going now, because she's got all that fabric. Long ago, I did a class, and I keep saying I'm going to do this again. And I have stuff here, but I won't have time to do it all now, but I will show you. I have, you know what? Actually, I may have some pictures of that too. Let me just look. Let me, maybe not. Okay. So the scrap fabric. Okay. There is no scrap too small to make something out of. And unfortunately, I think I don't have enough scraps. But what I have done, even recently, my mother is going on 84, and she recently has had some health issues and lost probably 40 pounds, and she did not need to lose any of it. But she's had to kind of clean out her closet a lot, and she's gotten rid of things. And when I say that she's gotten rid of a lot of things, take that with a grain of salt. It's not all because she's lost that much weight, but it's because she still had stuff in her closet from the 70s. Yeah. So I'm not going to tell you I don't either, but she had a lot of it. Okay. So I actually took some of those clothes and I've given a lot of them to some people who could use them. But some things are just so, I don't want to say outdated, but to the point that the elastic is, is rotten. And I mean, there's nobody that's going to wear this stuff because it's not feasible. So I've taken a few of those things and kept them. And I use the fabric in a meaningful way. So one of the things that I've done in a class prior to this, and these are not beautiful examples. These are practical examples. I made some pretty little hangers out of fabric because I've bought tons of those felt covered hangers to hang things on, because those are the ones ideally that I like, because you know how you get shirts and you put them on things and they fall off and it's like, why did I even bother? I like something to stick them on. And so I've purchased tons of those felt ones. Well, that can get pricey. And the fact that I don't like to shop probably weighs more heavily on it. But my mother had a ton of just wire, like the wire hangers and these that came from the dry cleaners. And so I got, because I've tossed a lot of these as well, but they're good for a lot of things besides making s'mores. But s'mores are good. So I took some of these and scrap fabric. This one, quite a hodgepodge, you can tell. It's not pretty. But let me tell you that's going to be one of the first ones I grab when I'm putting up my laundry, because stuff doesn't fall off of it now. This leopard skin looking stuff is from an old body pillowcase. I had it. It was, no good anymore. And the zipper was busted out, but it's great because it's kind of like the felt stuff. This other, that's kind of a plaid, I've made tons of things out of. I think it was an old pillow sham. I've made some bow ties. You saw my dog that had the little bow tie. I've made tons of, and my dog's name is Beau, if you've missed that, Beaux, because we're in Cajun country, and those are bow ties, Beaux. So I've made bow ties out of them, and just patted this super glue, hot glue, and fabric scraps. And this I prefer over the felt ones that I buy. Okay. So let me go back to the 70s clothing now.
Chenille.
70s pants. You see that material? Those pants with the dry rotted elastic. So, okay. And it still has a little hot glue on it. That's the side effect of using hot glue. But you know what? Every time I reach for this hanger to use it, what do I think of?
Pants.
My mother wearing those 70s pants. So it's a keepsake as well. It ain't real pretty. But what was going to happen to that material? It was going to get tossed along the line somewhere because it wasn't wearable anymore. So yeah, this is not the only thing I've made out of those, because there was a lot of pants material, because they were bell bottoms, right? So there's a lot more material in those bell bottoms. So I think this is a great idea, and you just cut your fabric strips if it's not already cut. Quite frankly, for something like this, I used such tiny scraps because I had them left. But if you're just going to cut some scraps, I probably wouldn't cut them more than an inch and a half. And you layer them and you hot glue them on, and you can make it as thick as you want it. You can, because some of these hangers are pretty thin. You can coat them with as many layers of fabric as you want to make them as thick as you want. I think it's a great use of scrap fabric. So Miss Irene, her wheels are turning now. But if you make them pretty, and I did make some, I put some little ribbon up here. They were, more patterned and something color-wise. I actually made some for both my daughters. with one of them likes Harry Potter themed stuff. And I found some fabric at Walmart or somewhere when I was there one day. And the other one is very into 60s stuff. And so I found some with pretty peace signs and colorful stuff. And I made them their own particular hangers and with ribbons and some buttons to decorate it. And so they were pretty. They were packaged up really pretty. So you can do that as well. Me, on the practical side, I'm using the 70s pants, and that's good for me because it holds my clothes on, and I like them better than the ones that I buy. So, you know, if you're going to just cut material, I would cut it in strips about like, I mean, you can cut it as long as you want, but I probably wouldn't cut it any wider than that. That one's actually kind of wide so that you can just layer it on there. But again, I will tell you that, let me pull this out. Some of y'all saw me making bow ties and things out of things. This is like elastic that's dry rotted from an old pair of boxer shorts that used to be worn by my kids to sleep in. And they got passed around. They were worn and worn and worn and worn. And they were red, white, and blue. I don't know why they were such a favorite, but they were. So I've made a lot of things, and that's about what's left of those shorts, okay? But don't think that I've just not thrown it away, because it will more than likely end up on a hanger because it's still good to pad something. I mean, once I hot glue it on there, it's another layer, and it's great to hold stuff on. Now, I got a lot of little scraps like that. So if you think you can't do something with little scraps, even with dry rotted elastic in it, you're wrong. And if you think about it, how many times have you thrown away bed sheets or blankets and things that seem to have no purpose left? You can repurpose those things really well by doing something like that. That's very practical, that you can use at home. You could probably save a bundle of money in hangers alone doing that. As long as you have a hot glue gun, you could use another type of glue, but it's going to be a lot more difficult to use a different kind. But if you've got a glue gun and some hot glue sticks, that's a great thing to do. But you can actually make I think they make good housewarming gifts if you make them kind of pretty in a theme and you decorate the top of them. I think they're kind of like a nice housewarming gift too, but unique. And so I actually have, this is a great example of something that would go. Let's see if it still zips. It zips, okay. This was an old nightgown, and you can tell how worn it is and how worn it was because, you know, like you can see through things. And it was my grandmother's, okay? And so it has meaning because it was my grandmother's. And I mean, you see the pockets, and I mean, it's really worn out. And you think, well, that just needs to be tossed because that's not even good for the goodwill, okay? What do you think I'm going to do with that? I'm probably going to make it and use it into something like hangers. So every time I pull that hanger out, that material is still there, and it's a keepsake. I just think there's so many things you can do with things like that, or I can make some scrunchies or something out of that. I'm not really a seamstress. I don't sew, but I've had a class and made scrunchies with no sew, that they were glue, and they work really well. But something like that can be used for, so many different reasons, and you still have that fresh in your memory, which is, for me is pretty special. It's a lot more meaningful than just tossing it aside and, never seeing it again. So Miss Irene, your wheels are turning. I can see that.
Yes, they are.
I can see it. So I hope maybe that'll bring something to mind that you can do with what you have at home. And I do have to tell you, maybe you could strip. Oh, absolutely. Old towels. I'll share with you this as well. So we have a kind of adopted family, and they kind of save containers and all kinds of things. Cause I'll get a text and she says, could you use this to craft with, or would you use this before I throw it away? And I'll say, oh yeah. So she brought me clean. Okay. Let me start by saying clean. They're washed, the toilet seat covers that are like towel kind of. I mean, you could use those to wash cars even, but yeah. And so she saved those for me and brought them to me. No, I think I picked them up. Anyway, I have those. There's any number of things you can reuse these things for instead of just tossing them. And people think of me sometimes when they go to throw stuff out, they get afraid to throw stuff out. So I have that reputation. But I think, yeah, old towels are great. You can make baby bibs out of old towels, even if you don't sew. You can certainly use them for dusting purposes. If it's something you want to, some kind of chemical, you don't want to wash it, you can throw them away. I think that's always a great idea. So yeah, that's, Marlene, you're right. Towels are great. I have a whole stash of old towels that I won't put in a bathroom, but they're good for stuff like that. They're good for cleanups too. If you have a spill and you don't want to use all your paper towels because they're expensive. So if you haven't been here before, like Miss Rosemary hasn't, we do have lots of other classes to offer. I have another class actually at 11:30, I think.
No,
What
it's
time
almost noon.
What time? Well, I'm in Central Time,
Oh,
and I'm trying to see what time my class is. It's in a half hour, I think. So I have another class, it's Dementia Education. Hope you can join me for that or come back for the next craft class. Rosemary, thank you for being here. It was a pleasure to have you for the first time. Pleasure to have you. You're muted. I can see you talking, but you're muted. All right, y'all. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day and stay safe. And again, thank you to all of you who served and your loved ones have served. I appreciate everything that you do. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Jennifer.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.